gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Miss Brianne, and we are back for part 2 of our Earth Day Seed Ball Family Virtual Program. Now, in the previous video, we read a very nice story, and we learned some lessons for that story, right? So let's take a minute to review some of those lessons that we learned from the story. Well, one lesson is try to reduce your waste. Like he kept cutting down the trees and making paper. That's pretty wasteful, right? And he would use new paper every time his airplane failed. So, good. Like if you cut down trees, replace them. That's a good lesson learned. And another lesson: you can use what you have and solve your problems very creatively, like the animals did with the bear. They put all his old planes together into one big plane. Wasn't that a great way to solve the problem? Yeah. So, as I mentioned, today's craft is a version from the website called Buggy and Buddy. And the owner of the creator of the website was actually inspired by the story we just read, The Great Paper Caper. She actually used that as inspiration for this craft today. And we're going to use recycled paper to make this. Cool, huh? Isn't that a great way to reuse paper? Yeah. So we're going to make something called Earth Day Seed Balls. And I'm going to go over step by step with you. And when you're done, they're gonna look maybe a little something like this. Now I made this shape like a flat little pancake, which is appropriate if the children in your family are toddlers or they're little. Or you can get more creative if you have old cookie cutter molds. You can use them, and you can make something like this. Neat, huh? So, you interested in learning how these are made? Okay, so you should have, if you registered for this program, you should have received a craft kit with the program. And you should have gotten some seeds with that kit. That's all the kit will include, seeds. So you should have seeds with you in your craft kit. If you didn't get a craft kit in time, if you have seeds that you can use at home that you can certainly use those. But here's what you need as well. You're going to need scrap paper, which is cut into strips or tiny pieces. And do you know what works best, boys and girls? Paper from the shredder. That is perfect for this activity, paper from the shredder. You're also going to need, hold on. You're going to need some type of bucket or tub in order to hold your shredded paper. You're also going to need a colander. And this is supplies that you have to have in addition to your seeds. You're also going to need a very cheap and very used blender. Oh, and adult supervision is required for blender use. You're also going to need paper towels or newspaper. And if you want food coloring. And you're also going to need water. All right. So, with that being said, are we ready to begin? All right. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus the camera for a minute. To the sink. All right. Hold on 1 second. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our shredded paper and we're going to put it in our bucket or tub. So take all of your paper and just throw it in a bucket or tub. Now, as an option, if you want your seed bolts to be colored, you can use colored paper that's cut into tiny pieces or strips. The next step is to turn on your cold water, just your cold water, and just fill it just enough so that all the paper is covered with water. So, give that a minute. And that should be good. So, all your paper is soaking in the water. Now, you have to leave it soaking for about 3 to 4 hours. And make sure it's cold. If it's too hot, it'll disintegrate the paper and we don't want that. But usually you can soak it for 3 to 4 hours. However, for best results, let it soak overnight. Fortunately, I decided to soak a batch of paper in this tub right over here prior to making this video. So, with that being said, we're going to move on to the next step. So we're going to open our blender. And we're going to take some of our paper and we're going to put it in our blender. Now we're going to put paper in the blender until it's about 1/3 full. You don't want to put too much paper in the blender or it can ruin the blades. And we don't want, I mean, if it's a very cheap or used blender, that should be fine. But if you want to make more of these, you want to make sure it lasts a little bit. Oh, and here, and a hint, one thing, once you use the blender for paper, do not, I repeat, do not use it for food ever again. Because even though it's, you could be able to clean it, it's not gonna be able to be fully clean after that with paper because of the inks. So we'll just put a little bit more. There, that's about 1/3 full. Next, we are going to get some water. And we're going to fill our blender with water. Hopefully I don't spill this. Okay, it's going to need a little bit more water. So we're just going to add a little bit more water to this. And that should be enough. Now, if you don't have colored paper, what you can do is take some food coloring and put like a drop or two in the water. Next, when that's done, we are going to cover our blender. And we're going to do this on the lowest speed possible very quickly. And you want to blend it to consistency. That looks like the consistency of oatmeal. That should be good enough. Now, boys and girls, you don't want to blend this too much or it's going to seep right through the colander. So, once we have that, we're going to take the cap off our blender, and always make sure you have adult supervision. So we're going to take our blender off. Let's move this to the sink. Then we're going to grab our colander and we're going to pour our mixture in the colander. And then we're going to shake it until all the water is drained. Now this may take a while. You don't want to drain all of the water. Oh, let's get the blender out of the way. And we're just going to keep shaking that. But you don't want to drain all the water. You want some water in there. I think we pretty much got most of the water out, but when you're done, and then what you're going to do once you got most of the water out is take your mixture and throw it in the bowl. Throw it in your bowl. Drain some more of that water out. So when you're done, you should have a mixture something like this. Looks kind of like oatmeal-like. So that's your mixture. Alright, so we'll put that to the side for now. We're going to put our blender back in. And we'll do one more round. So we got to put our paper in. I think we just were able to put the rest of our paper in. Put the rest of our paper in. We're going to throw our water in. You know what? We're going to put this in the sink right now because we no longer need it. Gives us a little bit more room. So we'll put our water in. think that's almost to the full line. We're going to put our food coloring in. We're going to close our blender. Then we're going to blend it a little bit. There. So we got our oatmeal consistency. So we're going to take off the cap. And once again, let me put this to the side for right now. Then once again, we're going to pour our contents into our colander. And then we're going to let it drain. And just shake it around until it drains. Get some of that excess water out. Okay, and once we have that, we'll put it in our bowl. And I'm just gradually mixing everything together. So here's all of my pulp. So let me zoom in on this, because we no longer need the sink. So I'm just going to drain a little. Yeah, sometimes there's always a lot of water. So here's the pulp. Now, the next thing you are going to do is you're going to take your seeds take the seeds that you have, throw them in the bowl. So you're going to take your seeds, throw them in the bowl. And then you're going to mix them into your pulp. And I know this is very messy and very slimy, but it is worth it. Alright, so now you have your seeds mixed in with your pulp. Now I'm just going to dry the area a little bit, because now we're going to do our final step. So we're going to put some fresh, you're going to have, line up an area with fresh newspaper or fresh towels, paper towels, whatever your choice is. There we go. So what you're going to do is maybe take a little bit of your dough. You can either roll it in a ball like this and place it on the paper towel and try and squeeze out the extra water if you can. Roll it into a ball again and squeeze out the extra water. And you may have to use multiple paper towels for this. So there's one. Or you could take your seed balls, roll them, do this on the paper towel, flatten it into a cake, and squeeze out as much of the water as you can. And this is good for the toddlers. Or you could take one of your molds and mold your seed balls into the cookie dough. Let's see if like so. And while it's in the mold, you're going to squeeze out the water. So I'm actually going to line up another, so I'm going to put another paper towel over. So there we go. Then we're going to squeeze out the water as much as you can. And once you squeeze out the water in the mold, you're going to very carefully remove the mold, remove the shape from the mold. As carefully as you can. There we go. Take a look at that. Isn't that cool? So, now let's do one more in the shape of a star. Like I said, you may want to do this part outside because it does get very messy with the water. And then once you're done, remove it from the mold. And there we go. Those are Earth Day seed balls. Now, after you're done forming them, you have to wait 72 hours or 3 days for them to dry completely. Then when you're done, you can plant these in the ground. Though with the wildflower seeds, you may just want to leave them on top of your dirt. I would recommend making small shapes and then scattering them around your yard and then watering them. But in any event, this is how you use recycled paper and seeds to make seed balls, and it brings in the art of recycling and growing new plants to help take better care of our earth. I certainly hope you enjoyed this program. I enjoyed doing this program with you. If you're interested in this program as well as others, please check out our library's YouTube page for for other virtual programs that myself and the other children's librarians here have to offer at the West Hampton Free Library. But in any event, I certainly enjoyed this program. I hope you boys and girls enjoyed the program as well. And until then, this is Miss Brianne saying take good care of yourselves Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next program.